Everybody's in. Okay. All right, we're live.
We are live. Good afternoon, everybody, from Illinois, Portugal, and in this special show from Florida as well. Welcome to the Smart Food Show. Ronald, I'm going to introduce our guest today. I had
Please
to
do.
narrow down the curriculum because we can go on and on and on forever. Here it is. He has over 3 decades of experience from product development, distribution, consumer retail life cycles, you name it. And actually, they are celebrating the 25th year anniversary for their consultant services. I want to give you one information. Listen to this. He has generated over 1 billion business growth to his clients. So
That's a
everybody
big
write out the
number. That's
name.
a big number.
It's a big number. And he has pretty much worked with one of three Fortune 50 companies. So he's running out of those companies pretty soon. He has worked with clients as Whole Foods, McDonald's, Walmart, Kroger, Publix, Hershey's, Disney, Costco, just to name a few. And with him, you can find his consultant services, which include business planning, food business growth planning, and something that is very important for our business, the FDA compliance and training workshops for everybody that is interested in that. He is an active speaker from across the US, different forums, universities, and also internationally, like in Europe. He has 4 books. One of them we are going to be discussing a little bit. And actually, we just learned that we have 2 copies that we're going to be giving away. We're going to tell you how to get those copies later on. Everybody got a recipe, 5 proven ingredients to scale food makers to millions. On behalf of Ronald, myself, the Smart Food Show, welcome to the one and only Team Forrest. Team, how's Florida treating you today?
It's fantastic. Thank you so much for the introduction, Greg. I appreciate it. You did leave off one thing. You may not even know this, but a lot of a lot of folks know this. But you left off the part where I began loading food trucks almost 35 years ago. That's how I got started in the food business, loading food trucks to go out and deliver to all the different channels that my clients have worked with and I've worked with in the past.
What motivated
I
you to,
I left it out, and it was not a purpose. And also
I'm
with
sorry,
your
what?
team,
I didn't.
you
didn't
saying
hear
you
that,
were
Greg.
loading you saying you were loading food trucks 35
My
years ago,
first
right?
job, right? The way I
Wow.
was in school at the time, the way that I began in the food industry, and what served me so well, the reason I could accomplish so much that I have, is I learned it from the ground up. I actually began loading food trucks. I had no idea at the time I would stay in the food business, but that was my start. Was actually pulling orders and loading the trucks. I got promoted to driver uh, very quickly, and so I learned. But I began learning all the channels. I began delivering to club stores, supermarkets, convenience stores, zoos. Just the whole gamut. And then I began to understand what a club store was, the difference in a convenience store, delivering to even food service operations, jails. My initial delivering food to jails. And so later
wow,
on, you fast forward several years, as I began to develop programs for food producers so we could deliver products to all those channels. And that's a big basis of my consulting today, is thinking about basically 14 different channels of food. And it goes back to those years. Luckily, so I had no idea at the time, but I was driving those trucks. My next job, I went from driving those trucks, to I went to the largest food company in the world. So I graduated school, then went to Unilever, which is the largest food company in the world, 250,000 employees, brands all over the world. And that's where it began so much of my training. Had I not had that experience with the channels, I'm not sure that I've been as effective as I've been over the course of my career. But that's how I got started.
what a
Well,
story. And I didn't know about that. It's not something that I left on purpose, but I'm taking my
Right.
notes. Uh, Ronald, how's Portugal treating you? Are you ready for the trip to Miami, the long trip to Miami?
Well, yeah, I'm riding to Miami, man. The weather here is pretty much the same as in Miami, probably a little bit less heat, but it's good. It's nice, and yeah, I'm ready to go to Miami. Haven't been there
Awesome. And with
since.
us also we have Luis Vivas with team and the consultant team. We're gonna leave him the last minutes of the call because we are very interested to know what team and his group of consultant services are doing for Latin America, for a Latin America client. So Luis, hold on for that. So speaking of consulting, we are actually going to start talking about consulting. You mentioned a little bit, Tim, about your experience from the ground. In this time, it's specifically from the ground. What would you say to a company that first hasn't heard your story, hasn't heard my introduction because it was really good? What are they going to get on a consultant service? What are they paying for? What are they expecting to get as a consultant?
We're, uh, Tim, we're not. You're on mute, Tim. Sorry.
Thank you so much.
There you go.
Yep. When you ask a question, are you specifically asking about consultants in general, or consult? My assumption is you're asking about consulting in the food business.
In the food business. Let's keep
Yeah,
it to the
so
food business.
yeah,
Mhm.
so in general, so consulting, you're looking for experience, expertise, and insight. And there's not really in the food industry, there's not really a lot of in my opinion, there's not a lot of real consultants and opportunity to get specific information that's going to help make your business successful. So many of the folks that you talk to in the food business, they've got a there's potentially another agenda, or they're some other function in the food business. Their sales rep, or their perspective comes from being a food broker, and that's not really consulting. Specifically from my perspective, so many clients think the answer, oh, if I can just sell my way out of this problem. The problem's not a sales problem. There's a lot of other issues involved, and we can talk about it if you want to, Greg.
No, go ahead. I mean, it's we are here to listen to you. I mean, this is an opportunity that we don't get every day.
Okay, so yeah, just real simple. We'll just the question is, why would someone want to work with me or someone with my experience level for
Mhm.
their food business? What would they reach out for a consultant? And there's really four different areas to think about. Okay, so the first thing, if they just go out and they think the solution, the first thing is 25,000 food products are taken off the market each year, fail.
Right.
90% of food companies are not going to be around a year to 5 years from now. So right off the bat, the odds are so against anyone being successful in this. And there's about 20,000 new companies, products that come on the market each year. So many folks think they have a product they're doing well with, they're doing great. Their family and friends love it. They share it at the lake. They have it at the backyard parties. And everyone loves it. They've been encouraged to take this product to market, but that's not building a food business. That's not building a successful food product. Just for instance, so many chefs, I work with some chefs, many chefs approach me, but they don't understand the food business. Just having a great tasting product is not the solution. A great, wonderful, flavorful, fresh, delicious food product is not what build the food business. And so
Right.
that alone, that one concept shares starts to wake people up. Wait a second, this idea is there's something else going on here besides that. So many people, when they get advice or counsel in the food business, it's, we can help you get into this account. I can help you expand. I can help you sell more stores. Really, what they're doing. Think about it. Here's one of the issues that you run into. Farther you get away from your office, wherever your office is, the farther the market away is, farther the opportunity is, the
Mhm.
farther the retail market is from your home location, it's going to be less profitable. It's going to cost you more money for the same sales. Also, it's going to be to support that. It's going to be a lot more. Distribution is more expensive. There's so much happening um, to cause it to be more expensive. So the farther you go away, the more expensive it is. Also, your sales, your actual rate of sales is going to be so much less in those markets. So as you go further out, it's more expensive, you have less sales. And so what happens is people go to brokers, they go to these folks that can help them sell. They are successful. So what happens? They go very quickly from say 100 locations, or they go to 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 locations because they're expanding their problems. They're not taking a solid program that's successful. They're taking a weak program and expanding it very quickly. They're actually putting themselves out of business quicker than if they'd stayed in their local market, their home market, and built a strong program and then expanded that over time. The other piece, the other things that's happening is when you take a product and you expand it quickly without really thinking about as far as being a successful consumer product and having a relationship. Your relationship is with consumers. It's not the retailer. In the consumer product market, this is not about developing warm, wonderful buyer relationships. Yes, it's great to have good relationships. This business is not built on buyer relationships. And I'll share with you why that is. This business is about consumers. Retailers are a way to get to those consumers. And that's why census data, that's why consumers in a market, what's your penetration to the market you're currently in. There's so much, and I'd like to come back and talk about that in a little bit, but let's go back. So you're doing great. You think you're doing great. You've got a broker team or a sales team that's very aggressive, very effective. They've been able to get you to 1,000 locations, maybe 2,000 locations. You're not supporting the product. You're not building a relationship with consumers. Guess what you're doing? The reason that you're able to expand is because you've identified a need in the market. You see a gap. The largest legacy brands did not see that gap before you came to market. That's why there's an opening for you to be able to be successful. You're not supporting the brand because you're just going out, gaining new doors, gaining new stores, expanding in the market. You're in no way protecting that market. The legacy brands are watching. They've got all the syndicated data. They know what the sales are. They're going to have a knockoff product for you in about 18 months. And if they don't do it, your actual buyer, you're teaching your buyer what the next private label item is going to be in that category for your product if you've developed a home run and you're not supporting that. And so those are some of the issues that a lot of people that don't think about the food business don't think about retailing and the way how aggressive and competitive it actually is. And when you put on top of there is no protection like in other areas of business. There's really no protections. You have trade dress protection, but there's no real IP protection for your recipe, for your flavor. And so all of these issues, there's so many more that we could get into, but just the dynamics of what we've just discussed creates a labyrinth of competitive forces that makes it very difficult for people to understand exactly how competitive it is and how quickly they can build up and instantly be off the market when the bigger competitors wake up and realize, oh, we've got a product. What do you think, Greg? I've shared a lot very quickly.
I know, no, it's totally fine. Speaking of highly competitive market, I mean, just an example, in the hot sauce business, just walk through the aisle of whatever store. There's thousands of hot sauces, different specialty sauces. I mean, just that is a great example of how highly competitive and the fight for that little shelf space is in the food industry. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, because it's in the book, and I don't know if we're going to have an answer because it's subjective, is how do you define as a company what area are you operating so that you are successful first in that area before jumping into trying to expand? Because that's one of the things that you mentioned. First, conquer your area, but how do you find that area? I know it's subjective, and if Tim, you tell me, Greg, that's very subjective. You cannot define it, but we would like to hear about it.
I want to define it. It's not subjective in my mind. So I'll share with you, Greg. So I had a client that approached me. Hey, Tim, I need your help. I'm thinking about negotiating with I am negotiating. I'm friends with a very large manufacturer. They want to make my recipe, and then we're going to take it to market. And so we looked at the program, we looked at the idea. And so this was a lady, wonderful. She's a friend of mine named Nadine, and she makes chicken salad. And so guess what we did? I'm just going to share with you. I'll just jump straight to the punchline, Greg. We were able to sell in one store 50,000 pounds of her chicken salad in one location. 50,000
Wow.
pounds.
Wow.
So that brings up, so now I will ask you a question. The average supermarket in America, how many consumers get their groceries from one supermarket location?
Let me guess. Obviously, it depends on the area and the competition, but I would say 45%.
No. I'm saying if you had to count the number of people that their groceries come from in America, their groceries come from one supermarket, what would that be if you had to estimate?
Speaking about the 300 total million, 380 million people.
Yeah, there's 300. Yeah, that's the number. We've had 320 million Americans.
Let's say,
but
if I say
your
40,
local supermarket,
140 million.
I would say less.
I said
I would say
140
a lot
million. Less.
How many?
I would say like about 25 million people get from one grocery store.
How many say it? How many? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I would say 25 million. What about you, Greg?
How many?
I
25 million. I say 25.
I said 140.
140?
Yeah. Am I off?
No. So okay. So the grocery store you go to, just think everybody on the call, I'll ask Lewis as well. So the grocery store, your wife, your family, where you buy groceries, you know the cars are out front. You see the cars. About how many consumers, American consumers, do you think get groceries from your store? And I know the number within a few hundred. And so just take a guess. I just want you to think about it.
Okay, I think I got it. 20,000 in that area.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, Lewis, do you have an opinion?
I didn't understand the metric, so that's why I was like, I thought it was totally, but now I get what you're saying. Okay.
So what are the numbers? What's the other 20,000? Are there any other guesses? Any other guesses?
Did we win the book?
I don't think nobody from where I live. I don't think nobody goes to just one particular supermarket.
Yeah, they do. I agree. They do go to multiple locations, but
yes.
Yeah, they do, but they still are going to one location. So about how many? Just have an estimate.
How many go to one?
Yeah, just your one supermarket, the main supermarket you go to. How many visit that location?
Monthly or daily?
Daily or
no, in a for their groceries over the course of a year, I'm just saying consumers. I'll give you the answer. I'm going to give you the answer.
Go ahead, shoot the answer.
Yeah, so the answer is 8,000. So 20,000 is relatively close. So here's the point. So I just shared with you 50,000 pounds of chicken salad. There's 8,000 consumers that get their groceries from one location. And the average product that sells in a supermarket, the average product in a supermarket doesn't sell 1 unit per week.
Right.
So that tells you, so do you see the upside?
Mm-hmm.
The upside, you're in one location, average product sells less than one item per week. So the opportunity, you want to change behavior, you've got the opportunity to sell 8,000, potentially, I'm just making up a number. You could potentially sell 1,000 units a week, 500 units a week, 2,000 units a week, just for one location. People are expanding. They're thinking, oh, I'm not selling very much product. So I'm just going to go all over the country, drive and fly all over the country, make sales calls and ship product all over the country while the opportunity is in their backyard. They're leaving 50,000 pounds of chicken salad sales at one location to go travel everywhere in the country, try to sell product. And that right there, that idea, that concept is why a consultant provides value to folks. and helps them
I,
to understand. So my
I
clients,
will
I don't.
never, yeah, I will never see it that way until I hire you and you consult me and say, Greg, let's first maximize where you are because you are right there. You know, you have a better ability to know about your client and customer. And then the other thing that you mentioned before you do that, because you're just going to replicate your, I don't want to say mistakes, but you're going to replicate your bad habits, that either financial bad habits that you haven't tweaked, or your operations that you're not so efficient. So when you go out, and it's mentioned in the book, I'm not as smart as you just go ahead and replicate those errors, right? Can you explain a
Exactly.
little bit about that? And I believe
Yeah.
you said,
So let's just take some national brands. If you take some of the most successful national brands, they do not leave their home state for 20 years after founding. If you take
Wow.
In-N-Out Burger, they were like 50 years. I don't know the exact number. I can go back and check. 50 years. They're about 40 years or so. They never left the state of California. We're probably, everyone on the call, I'm sure, is familiar with the Cheesecake Factory. They didn't leave their home state for 20 years. And you can go on and on down the list. I can go down and on down the list of different
Even
brands
Starbucks took a while to
that we
expand.
know. They don't leave their home state for 20 years plus, and they have the economics of their business engine running. They've got a relationship with their consumers. Then they go out. So all these folks, everyone that wants to be an overnight national brand, a national story, overnight success, I'm going to get funding, I'm going to go out and go in every store in America. They're not supporting it. That's the issue. And so it creates everything we've already talked about in the call today.
excellent. We touched a few points from the book. I want to talk about from the book, and everybody that is watching us, you can see the link, and we'll post
Can you
more
lift
links
up
of
the
the
book
book.
to the screen, Tim, please, so everybody can see it?
Yeah.
So
Everyone's got a recipe.
recipe.
Everyone, if you're in the food business, you need to go and grab this book. I haven't finished reading it yet, Tim. I'm going through chapter 4 already, and it really blew my mind because I started seeing things in a different perspective. I sell commercial equipment to supermarkets, and having read your book, I understand a little bit more the detail that goes into the promotional part of the products. So it was very insightful for me that I sell commercial equipment. So somebody that that's starting their food brand or some product that they want to put out in a supermarket, believe me, it is a very good book. Go grab it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think it's applicable to almost any category in a supermarket, including equipment.
Yeah, in a way it is. Chapter 2, which is consumers define innovation. I love that. That. And the way how you say is that it's not that you are going to define it, but is you got to see what the consumer basically is asking you to do with your product. So you always you use, I think, the example of Jello, how they rebranded, not rebranded, but they kind of came up with a new concept. They had like the base already, so they worked on that base, which can give you like an extra
without changing the formula. They changed nothing about the formula. And you're talking about all they changed was the message, and they fabulous increase, unbelievable increase in sales from changing the message with the same formula. And
500%, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
500%.
Yeah,
so,
for equipment, you could take let's just take the same example for equipment. So for the equipment, you would have all you would have to do is say, oh, we have the exact same cooling equipment, and say, oh, this is a cheese case. Something about it becomes a cheese case, or it's an iced tea case for the restaurant industry. It's almost the same concept. You brand it, you just put different branding. Now for equipment, there is an opportunity maybe to, obviously, for beverages would be different than a cheese case. There's functional differences, but there's so much about it that is just simply the way that you market that piece of equipment.
Yeah.
Do you guys know the Topo Chico, the beverage, the mineral water?
Yes.
I believe they just partner with equipment to make their own Topo Chico exclusive branded, and I think it's a unique design of display, and they're just gonna go and move it. They're just gonna brand their own Topo Chico display. Yeah, that's
Yep.
kind of like a mini fridge. So that's amazing. Also, it's a perfect example.
That's
We
something
don't
that we
want to
do, by
give
the way. we
exactly.
do the
I know.
product development for that. Yeah, you know that, Greg.
We don't want to give a lot of the book, but I do want to touch base in one point that hits me directly. Um, I want to hear your thoughts, and this is about product development. We develop a lot of food items because it's very exciting. Exciting is just
Yep.
to mix a new type of pepper with a fruit. Everybody's excited. It's a passion. It can be a passion, but one of the potential problems is starting developing these products before knowing and understanding your client and your consumer.
Yep.
Ex- Explain us about it, and if you have a recipe to avoid that.
Yeah. So I'll just share with you a couple of examples that really will put you in and kind of explain this for you. So many of my clients, the products originated in a restaurant. And so we'll just, and I want to take this a little bit further. Let's take the story of, and I love pudding. I love rice pudding. So Cozy Shack is one of my favorite food companies because I love rice pudding, and they make rice pudding. Are you familiar? Is everyone on the call familiar with Cozy Shack as well? Okay, great. So
Yeah.
yeah, so the company just sold for hundreds of millions of. When I say just sold, like in the last few years, to Land O'Lakes, hundreds of millions of dollars. And I want to share with you how Cozy Shack got started. And this is what everyone misses so much in the food business. So Cozy Shack was a deli in New York. If you don't know, you may not know, but it was a deli in
No.
New York.
No idea.
The bread man that delivered to Cozy Shack Deli, he delivered their bread so they could make hoagies, and they sell out. He'd sell sandwiches out the deli. So the owners of Cozy Shack Deli are so busy, they want to figure out how to sell more hoagies, how to sell more sandwiches, and that's their whole focus. They happen to make dessert rice pudding, and their bread delivery guy noticed that a lot of customers were getting to-go orders of rice pudding. So he asked them, he said, "Hey guys, I think some of my other customers on my route can sell your rice pudding." And he was right. So they started making him rice pudding. He would take it to his other accounts when he delivered bread, and he would deliver rice pudding. He ended up buying the recipes to that product and building the he and his family built the Cozy Shack pudding brand. So the reason he was able to do that is because he was informed by the consumers that there was a gap and opportunity in the market for Cozy Shack pudding. He did not leave the state of New York. This is in New York. He didn't leave the state of New York for 20 years before he expanded beyond New York. And he got everything working, understood how it worked. Then he expanded. And in his mind, he would never wanted to grow more than 15% per year. But the point, there's a lot of lessons with Cozy Shack, but the main lesson that we want to talk about now is the fact that consumer purchases informed his decision to pick that item to expand it. He wasn't sitting. That's one of the issues when I work with chefs. Half the time, if a chef approaches me, I'm not going to be able to work with that chef because they think the day is carried by the magic of their recipe. The food business, it's a given that you're going to have a great recipe. It has to taste good. But there's so many other elements that are in play that suggest whether or not it's going to be a successful item. And so just the fact it tastes great is not going to be what makes a great product in the food business. It's a matter, there's a test that I look for. And really it's just, do consumers recognize they have a need in this product, and then are they willing to pay for it? It's just that simple. And so if they have a need and they're looking for that type of product, and then they're willing to solve that problem or issue, then they'll pick up your product and buy it. The rice pudding solved that need. There's so many valuable things about Cozy Shack being all natural. It's gluten free. It's just I just love it. It's just a wonderful product. And so
Excellent.
that product is able to expand and grow. And then that's what was purchased. When Land O'Lakes bought it, they're going to take it and expand even more, than they already have been. But the point being, the consumers have spoken, and they're the ones that drive it. Some of my other clients as well. I was very fortunate. Lauren, who founded Mother-in-Law's Kimchi, she approached me. It's a national artisanal brand. She wasn't in any she was not in any chain stores at the time. She was selling at a farmer's market.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, I was able to meet her in 2010 and ended up helping her to build this national brand. And so she sells over 1 million jars a year nationally of her wonderful, wonderful product. But she did that because her mother had been making this product for 20 years in a restaurant and had the resulting recipe along with the consumer takeaway was such that Lauren could take her mom's recipe straight to market, because all the effort that we've been talking about with Cozy Shack had already been done with her mother as well. This happens again and again and again in the food business, where a product is part of a large catalog of products, and it's a thoroughbred. It's far and away the one that consumers want, and people don't understand it. And it's not like they were magical and created this magic product. It's a matter of, oftentimes they have a portfolio of products and one becomes a standout, and that's the one that it focuses on. That's the one that we need to go to California with, and New York, Wisconsin, because there's a gap in the market. At the same time, we need to support with consumers.
So basically, what you're saying is that there's like this whole wide range of products that if you're not living in a certain state or a certain county, you might never have heard of, correct?
Yep.
And eventually, one of them will have a big breakthrough nationally.
Yeah. What I was sharing, really what I'm sharing is the consumers are going to tell you if you've got a product that is going to be successful. If you're not, what I'm saying is, in one location, I can interview a food entrepreneur and I can talk to them, and they're telling me they're only in I have people come to me, they're like in 2 locations, and they're very, very, very quiet or sheepish about their success. They're like, "Oh, Tim, I'm only in 2 locations. I'm just a little small company. They say, oh, I'm only doing $50,000 a year, and I'm just so tiny. I know I'm not a multi-million-dollar business." And if you do the math very quickly, you already know we were talking. The average item in a supermarket does less than 1 unit per week in a chain store. Yeah. So if I have a product that's doing $1,000, doing $250, $500 a week, and they're only in 2 locations, that tells me, oh my gosh, you've got a home run hit product. If you're doing $50,000 a year in 2 locations, that means that if I put you into 2,000 locations and it does the same, we do the same similar success, it's a runaway freight train as far as a superstar item. And so there's some reason they're selling that much product in one location. That's a very unusual situation, but that happens oftentimes. And that's really an important point. That's one of the reasons I'm so successful and my clients are so successful, is because I'm able to listen and I understand I see the value and the opportunity, and then we just expand that. We share that value, and that's what's valuable and important.
How much is marketing relevant to the success of a product? Because for example, I'm going to give you an example right now.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard of this drink called Prime.
Not really.
There's this drink called Prime, and I think it's Logan Paul that's promoting the product everywhere. Yeah. So they just signed. They came here to Europe a couple of weeks ago, and they started signing famous soccer players from here and rugby players from Europe, and one, they kind of deceive a little bit the end user, the consumer, with their their facts. I mean, they say
Yeah.
they're facts, but really it's not
Yes.
it.
So
But he's putting there like there's a huge marketing machine behind him, and then you see people like paying $100
okay. Yeah.
for one prime juice. So my question is really how much is relevant marketing versus that comparison that you
Okay.
just
So
did right now, like starting
okay. So yeah,
small.
let's talk about two things. Okay. That's fine. They can sell. Let's just talk about two things there about that. So number one, this is the food. This is supermarket. This is a food business. This is a turns business in general. So this product has to be purchased to be successful in this business. You want this product to be purchased a year from now by that consumer, and the only way
Yeah.
that's going to happen is if it's providing value to their life. And so in 2 years from now, are the consumers that are activated by that relationship with, you mentioned Paul, the kid online, is that consumer going to be buying that product 2 years from now? That's my question.
I don't think so, and that's exactly the point where I wanted to get to. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was exactly my thought. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what it's about. And so here's the question I would ask you: of the people that watch the guy, what's the guy's name? I know the guy. He's famous online. He's like a famous YouTuber.
Logan Paul.
Yeah. So Logan Paul,
right?
Okay, so here's the question you want to ask. When you get involved in these type of affiliate or sponsorship programs, really what you want to ask yourself and how you think about it is, okay, of the people that become aware of my product through his messaging, what percentage purchase my product? Okay, they're aware of it. Now, what percentage purchase it? Of the people that purchase it, how many will purchase it a second time? How many will purchase it a third time? And so you want to understand without him being involved with it. So just you want to understand no marketing, no advertising. Why does it have legs? Why is it something that's going to be consumed over time? So whatever method I use to get a consumer to buy a product the first time, that's great. But I want to understand what about that product is going to get them to buy it again and again and again. And I don't want to just do it for a year. I want the children of my clients to buy it. I've worked with projects with my clients where we're actively pursuing opportunities so that we have second generation buying the product, third generation of the product buying it. And I specifically for brands have developed, I've developed school programs. We get our product at a discount into school systems so that our future consumers grow up with our product and then we'll buy it.
That's interesting. That's a good one.
Very similar to McDonald's, right?
The what?
Very similar to the McDonald's strategy.
That's
with
because
the Happy Meals. Yeah.
The food brands that we know and love, like so many people. Oh, I want to be as big as Coke, or I want to be like a cookie business. I want to be an Oreo. I want to be an Oreo. Okay, that's fine. So a little joke I say about the food business. Food business is an incredible opportunity. You're going to make your grandchildren very wealthy. This is a long play.
Yeah.
And it's going to go into the future. And if you do it right, you can go multi-generation as far as that brand should be around. And so this is not something in a year, you don't have a successful national brand in a year. It's not normal. That's not standard. And I just shared with you the national brands that we know about, the ones that are successful, they don't leave their own home state for 20 or 2 decades. So think about that. How does that change your business if you say, I'm not going to leave California. I'm not going to leave Florida. I'm not going to leave New York. I'm not going to leave Wisconsin with my food brand for at least a decade. And it changes the way you think about business model, everything that you do about your food business.
Excellent. This is going extremely quick. I mean, this is we cannot value this, but we want to respect your time. We're going to move to the last phase of the conversation.
Sure.
We know the America's Food and Beverage Expo is about to start next week. We want to hear, and it's actually in Florida, so we want to hear your opinion, your advice for anyone that is going for the first time I'm going to for the first time. Ronald, I understand, is going for the first one.
This is my first
How
time
we
too. Yeah.
maximize it? Any tips and tricks? I know networking is very important, but from the specifically for food industry and your experience, what do you recommend? What is your advice?
Okay, so we can just divide it. So we'll just very quickly, let's just think about the show in three different areas. So let's think about what can we do before the show to be successful? What can we do at the show? And then what do we do after the show? So right off the bat, before the show is get any information that you can about the show and pre-plan for the show. Who is it you want to see? What booths do you want to visit? Make a list of the areas that are most important. Who are your competitors? Who are the most important retailers? What are the different class seminars that you want to participate in that will help you to move the needle in your business? And along the same lines, before the show, invite any of your friends, colleagues, customers. See how you're going to connect with them there. Think about the time outside the show. What are you going to do to maximize that time? And have a however minimal amount of plan you have, that little act will quadruple the effectiveness of participating in the show. When I share that, Greg, what do you think about that?
You know what? We haven't planned for it, so Ronald, we need to talk about it. We
Definitely.
quickly saw the list of the participants, but you know what? It's similar to what you're saying in stay where you are, conquer first, maximize, be great operational. These are things that are not, how can I say, are not shiny, showing. It's a basic recipe that you follow through, and if you follow through correctly, you maximize the opportunity to have success. This as well, just be prepared, do your work, and you're gonna maximize the opportunity. And that's correct. You never know if you know what. Just connecting with someone in LinkedIn and saying, "I saw you have a post that you're looking to go to the Miami." Let's connect because we have this similar interested, and we can probably help each other. But if you don't do that, what are the odds? In probably, I think it's 5,000 people are gonna go. That you're gonna go bump into that person. I mean, it's minimum odds, but if you do your legwork, you maximize it. There's probably 99% chances that you're gonna run into it unless something out of control happens. It's amazing how your perspective. It's very specific and it's practical. Something that you can just go ahead and implement right away. Ronald, what do you think?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
think he hit the nail.
yeah, and
Go
that's
ahead, Tim. Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree. It is so practical. It is boring. It's not fancy. But this is the way you're successful. This is the way you make money. This is the way you're gonna build a successful brand and a successful business.
Excellent. We're gonna go to the final
Definitely.
phase. We want team how we can reach. I mean, we know we have the website. Invite everybody that is interested in your services. Invite everybody that want to obtain that knowledge that you have, and then we're gonna open for your business also in Latin America. And we're gonna let Luis speak about it. Since Latin America, the majority of speakers we'll let him do it Spanish as well, and then we wrap it up.
Yep. Yeah, I do want to say that thinking about the U.S. market, there's 250 cities in the U.S. market with more than 150,000 consumers, and so the opportunity is so huge here. It's so immense. I just always want to bring that out and just share that how big of an opportunity it is here.
Thank you. You wanna introduce your Latin America division, and then let Luis go for it.
Yeah, go ahead, Louis. What did you have any questions for me about that at all?
No, let's give Luis some time. Luis,
Yeah.
por favor. We'll let him go in Spanish,
Yeah.
and everybody will do yes. Sí. Luis, háblanos de los servicios de consultoría de Team Forrest en Latinoamérica.
Sí, hola, ¿qué tal? Bueno, así como estuvo conversando Tim y explicando pues todo lo que se desarrolla a nivel y tiene pues ya más de 30 años acá en lo que es la industria de alimentos y bebidas, precisamente desde el año 2021 comenzamos a trabajar juntos en desarrollar el programa para todo lo que es la comunidad hispana, que está en un constante crecimiento y precisamente queremos darle la oportunidad a aquellas empresas que están en Latinoamérica, Centroamérica, que quieren venir a los Estados Unidos, pues darle todas esas herramientas y todos esos conocimientos que tiene acumulado a lo largo de todos estos años de experiencia, y de eso se trata pues lo que es el programa para Latinoamérica igualmente.
Excellent. Thank you, Luis. What an opportunity to transfer Tim's knowledge into the Latin America. So that's you have a one in a lifetime opportunity over there. Let's give everybody, if they want to share your socials or platforms or website. We know we have Tim Forrest, Ronald, and everybody. Go ahead. We'll start with our guests, Tim and Luis.
Yeah, I was going to suggest they be sure to check out my YouTube channel. I have hundreds of YouTube videos on the food business. So if you go to youtube.com/Tim Forrest Consulting, or just search Tim Forrest Consulting, you can see video after video after video. In particular, for folks in South America, I've got some. I have a series of videos on importing South American food products into the U.S. market. And so we do that. We've got Lewis has some special opportunities for people that have manufacturing facilities in South America. And we do that all day long. We've been doing this for decades as far as helping clients overseas enter the U.S. market. And that's where I would just timforrest.com, and then our YouTube channel, which is so valuable and has so much information. And then also Lewis translated my book, the book that we've been talking about. They've translated and has the Spanish version as well if someone needs that.
That's great.
Where can we get your book, Tim, by the way?
Amazon. You can go to my website and you can download the first chapter for free. And then also you can buy it from my website. On my website, if you're in if you're in the US, I'll ship anybody that watches this that goes to my website. I will pay for the book if you pay for shipping. So I'll give you a free copy of the book, but you pay for the shipping. Or you can go to Amazon, Amazon.com, also Barnes & Noble. A friend of mine, hey, Tim, you need to go to Barnes & Noble. So I went to Barnes & Noble, and you can actually go to Barnes & Noble and get the book as well. And then on the Barnes & Noble.
Do we have people mention, we saw your in the Smart Food Show, something like that, and they'll go into the deal?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's all they have to do.
Awesome.
Tim at timforrest.com or Lewis or any of you guys. And then I'm excited to we'll give away the, however y'all want to give the book. Yep.
Yeah. We'll coordinate with that. And actually we'll coordinate with Luis as well. Ronald, your socials website? Or
everybody knows it's rimasi.com, RIMASEE.com, to go and get the best commercial equipment out there. And but today's about Tim, so I'm just going to let here timforrest.com. Everybody visit his website, look into the materials he has there for free, check out his books, make sure you buy them. A lot of knowledge in there. I've seen so many people put food businesses up, start their own brand, and I've seen so many failures. I wish I would have known about Tim before, because I would have definitely told them, check out this guy. This guy is the guru. He's America's top food expert. What more can I say?
Yeah, thank you.
Luis, tus sociales, your socials, or your information, tu información, website?
Sí, mi correo es luis@timforrest.com. Allí me pueden contactar, y bueno, agradecidos muchachos con la ventana y el espacio para compartir toda esta información, y por acá pues estamos a la orden.
Excellent.
So, yeah, there we go. So, para aquellos que hablan español, luis@timforrest.com. Creo que me equivoqué aquí, .com. And so just email Luis. Let me fix this up here real quick. There we go.
While you do that, and again, any questions, just follow the trail on LinkedIn on the different posting. Myself, thefoodon.com. In the usual platforms, just search for Greg Gutierrez, the Twitter or the X right now, and then we have the TikToks, Facebook. Any questions? Just go ahead and there. Anyone has any final thoughts, questions, comments? We are so grateful to have you guys here. We can go on, but we're just gonna leave it there. And we'll see everybody in Miami in the expo. Thank you, team. Thank you, Luis, Ronald.
Excellent. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much for inviting us.
everybody. Thank you.
See you
Bye-bye.
next time.
It's our
Thank you.
pleasure.
Take care.